at all. Welcome, 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 and good morning. It is our time to renew the heart, mind, and spirit. It is our time to thrive. It is our time to grow and mature and to step into our divine purpose. I am so happy for the group of women that have joined me in our WhatsApp group, and I am envisioning and asking you to pray that other women who have a desire to heal, that have a desire to be transformed, that have begun the journey of transformation and are moving through it, and are beginning to experience life in different ways, that there will be understanding as you move through that journey and that process, so that eventually as you rise and transform and become that brand new self, that you then walk forcefully and powerfully in your divine purpose. And I know there are women in the group who are at different stages. And this is what is so wonderful about a circle of women who can be together, but in different stages and phases of the process, so that those of us who have moved through the other side, if you will, can actually work as those midwives, right, Natasha? Those midwives who are willing to help through the birthing process. And so this group is supposed to be a source of support, a source of comfort, one of those places where we can share our journeys with one another. And I'm hoping there will be times when some of the women will be able to give their life stories and their life testimonies and just celebrate where they are. And for those who are just moving through the process, for them to be able to voice where they are, so that other women can experience and know that they're not alone, and be supported through the process. So this morning, I want to help us start our day right. I want us to begin to think about the wisdom that is within us, and to begin to think about the process of unearthing that wisdom as taking a deep dive. So there is a tendency among us who are moving through the healing process to not only identify what our goals are, but to very much step into organizing, what step 1 is, and step 2 is, and step 3 is. And yesterday I talked about the fact that it's important to surrender. It's important to simply say, I am not the divine orchestrator of this plan. And I can actually get in the way of the plan if I'm to go, kind of dicing up what the steps should be. And the story of Abraham comes to mind, where God just kind of told him a part of the plan, because we never have the whole part of the plan. Those of you who know that I'm a dreamer, you know that I receive these dreams, these visions, and it's just a slice, right? But I have a slice of something that I can hold on to. And the challenge is then knowing what the steps are. And sometimes, if God gives us too much information, or even a little bit of information, we can misuse that information. And so we begin to insert ourselves into the plan instead of just rejoicing in what the outcome was. So Abraham was told, you will be the father of this nation, this huge nation that basically number the stars in the sky and the sands on the seashore. And Abraham wondered, well, how's that going to happen? Sarah and I are so old, there's no possible way that we're going to have a child, right? And so he put his own plan into action, and made some huge mistakes along the way. But it is by grace, right, that the plan is revealed. It is by grace. And so one of the things I want to talk to you about today is to form just a vision, just an idea of something you want to shift in your life, and to align that thing with love, because that's who God is, love. And if you align that vision and that goal with love, you cannot fail. But if you align it with fear, you're going to start to, plan step A, plan step B, plan step C, and then you will get in God's way. So I want to encourage you to just simply speak out loud that prayer, that thing you want over your life, and imagine that circle. I should have drawn a circle with a bullseye, and simply just look at the bullseye. Zoom in on it right now. Take a moment and zoom in on that bullseye, and then take a moment and think through, and then actually write down one of your goals. And it could be for multiple areas of your life, but right now I'm just asking you to think about one goal. So we as a group, the Village of Peace, have just formed. And so my desire and my goal for this group is to build a community of peacemakers and peacekeepers. Isn't that a wonderful goal when you think about it? Well, I think it's wonderful. But the idea, when you think about that and you take it apart, build, right? So the idea of being able to start with a very firm foundation, and I want to base that and ground that foundation in love. And then as we then go on, so build a community, right? Well, a community, right, has many members that are all serving different parts, right? And we talk about the body of Christ as a community. We talk about us having different roles, having different parts that we play as part of that body, the arm, the legs, the eyes, the ears, all having a different function within a community, and being able to observe who plays different functions within that community and to grow from there. Just harnessing the strength and the gifts and the talents that each person comes to the community with, and being able to say, wow, you have filled in a part in this community that was so needed, and I'm so glad that you're here. So we build a community of peacemakers, right? Peacemakers and peacekeepers. And peacemakers have a different role from peacekeepers. So let's start with peacekeepers. Peacekeepers are those individuals who guard the peace, right? So there are the makers of peace, there are the maintainers of peace, right? And so the peacekeepers are the maintainers of peace. How do we get to that place of peace? Well, as I've said before, for those of you who know me and who have encountered me, the way we get to a place of peace is to have inner peace. And that means that we have to do the deep dive. We have to cleanse our heart of all of the fears that impact us. And then as we are being impacted, then we see the change and the transformation happen as we shift and change. So as we are, getting to that place where we have inner peace then goes out to the people who are amongst us within the community. And not just our community, but the community that is our family, the community that is our neighbors, our neighborhood, the community that is our country, and eventually our world. So there are the peacekeepers and the maintainers of peace, and then there are the peacemakers. So how do you make peace, right? How do you actually help people to make peace? Well, you become the teachers. You become the individuals who are the healers, who are able to help people dive deep, who are able to then help them see the things that they need to see in order to experience that inner peace and that outer peace. So two functions for this group that I'm desiring and hoping that we can all move towards. So as we are journeying together and this goal is projected out there, then I am not going to now start strategizing in terms of how this will happen, step A, step B, and onwards. I'm simply going to put it out there. And with all the love in my heart, I'm going to say, Lord, build it. Build that community of peacemakers and peacekeepers. So I want to talk to you about something else. And this is linked to Proverbs 20, verse 5. A plan, or the motives, or wise counsel in the heart of a man is like water in a deep well, but a man of understanding draws it out. And this is the beauty, this is a beautiful thing of diving deep, and being able to actually learn about ourselves as we do the deep dive. And you know that I'm a visioner and I'm a dreamer. And there was one time when I was doing a meditation, and what I discovered during that meditation was this beautiful vision. And it was linked to, I think, one of those movies. I think it was Prince of Egypt or something like that. But as I sat in my meditation the next morning, it was like I had reached a point in my journey where I had done the deep dive. And the vision brought me to this place where there was this beautiful well. It was circular, and the bricks were so perfect in the well, and it was like a cistern, like a really modern cistern, where there is this like well that is built. The floor also has stones on the floor, and in the middle of this well was covered the area where you actually go to get the water. So it was an actual area that was like a room that had the water itself. And I opened up I took the cover off where the water was, and it was the purest, most enjoyable water one could ever drink. And there was a knowing that came. There was a knowing that came that the well is made of many bricks and many stones, but the well's stones and bricks are not just my own. And what I began to see was kind of a universal well, that each of us, through our own experiences, bring wisdom. We bring strength. We bring a knowing that adds to one another, that the well is built and the bricks are each of us, not just me. But the deep dive must happen, because when we do the deep dive, we discover the plan. Not the plan that we have for ourselves, but the plan that God has for us. So diving into the deep well, there's so many ways you do the deep dive. You do the deep dive with meditation. You do the deep dive with prayer. You do the deep dive with your daily experiences, and with those things that you develop your goals. Like once you put that bullseye and you claim the goal you want to move towards, there are experiences now that you are going to have that will help you know, am I blocking things? Am I getting in the way? Am I in that place of surrender? Or am I still in that place of control and struggle? Like I want to hold on to the plan. A plan or the motives, of ourselves is very different from the plans that God may have. And so as we dive deep, as we know those things that we fear, as we know those things that we desire and love, and the things that we want to come into our life, then we move on the straight path, and then we completely surrender and allow God to do the things that He will do in our lives. So they're one of my favorite verses, and on my podcast, Becoming Beautiful I Am, I talk about this, and I stream it almost into every episode, the idea of asking. And Helen was so gracious. She actually pointed out something to me, because she's the acronym queen, right? And she said, did you know that this is an acronym, right? Ask, and it will be given to you, right? Seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be opened. So I mentioned to you that I'm reading a book right now, and the book is called Thrive, and it's written by Zara Mahoon, and she was talking about having a dream. And I love dreamers because I think some people don't realize the beauty of their dreams. They don't realize the symbolism of their dreams. And they don't realize how much their dreams actually help others to grow. But she does. And so she was talking about actually having a dream where she was in a circular room and there were doors, just like there are doors on the screen here. And she was sure that there was a treasure that was hidden behind one particular door. And just like the yellow door here on the screen, she tried to open that yellow door. She tried to go through, she tried to push through and force her way through. And just with a level of frustration, the door never opened. And so she kind of sunk to the ground, she said, and she was just in that place of despair, wondering why this door was not opening that she wanted to go through. So the question is, what door are you wanting to go through right now, right? What's your goal in this life? What's giving you a lot of pressure? What's giving you a lot of struggle? What's the thing that you're trying to knock down and find, right? But the great thing is you don't have to knock the doors down. You just have to knock gently and the doors will open. So as she was in this room, frustrated, she heard a voice, and the voice said, "Why don't you try one of the other doors?" And so she thought to herself, well, okay, I'll try the other doors. So she started with the other white doors. And as she opened the door, there was only darkness inside. And so she thought, well, there's no treasure here. She went to the next door, she opened that door, and there was only a dark tunnel, a darkness. She went to the next door, and it was the same thing. And so finally she decided, well, why don't I go in and see what's in? And as soon as she stepped in, she saw a light, and the light drew her to this place where there was these treasures that she had been seeking. You know, the treasures of the happy home, the happy life, the treasure of the happy job, the treasure of feeling like you're connected with others, the treasure of feeling like you're living your purpose, the treasure of feeling like satisfied, like the thing I'm doing right now is the thing I'm supposed to do, right? These are the treasures in life, not money, although certainly that does help. But you know, these are the treasures when you find satisfaction in the small things, the joy of interacting with your children, the joy of sitting down for dinner, the joy of just having a fulfilling thing to do each day, the joy of being productive as you move through the day, and by the end of the day, having achieved something wonderful, pleasing, the joy of creating art, the joy of singing, the joy of just doing these things that make other people happy. These are the treasures in life. But sometimes the darkness overtakes us. And here's what the darkness is: unforgiveness. Yeah, because as soon as we clear away all the stuff, as soon as we dive deep into the well with forgiveness, everything becomes clear. The water that we drink, it's not bitter. It's so sweet. It's so refreshing. And so these are the things that we seek. So the thing she discovered was, all of the other doors led to the same place. And so they were all filled with darkness, but no matter which door you go through, when you go through the darkness, eventually what you see is the light. And so the lesson always is to ask yourself, what is happening right now that I need to see? What is hidden in this moment that is presenting me with a lesson? Like, there is no one route to where you want to go. But if you keep forcing this door, if you keep forcing this particular door, you're actually going to miss out the easy route in. So sometimes, because we're so set on things working out the way that we want them to work out, we don't see all the other doors that God is presenting to us, right? And so I have like a very real example of that. One of the things that I was planning to do was to actually have a TV show eventually. I said in my podcast, I desire to start this podcast and to have it just flow out to all the people who desire to listen to things and can hear things and visualize and go to the places that they do and understand what it is that I'm saying. But I'm also desiring to start a TV show, and eventually I'll get there. And so I just put that out there. I didn't even attempt to make any steps towards it. It was just like an end goal. And so here I am. I'm starting a TV show because that's what YouTube is. And the TV show is just really guiding us through our day of starting it right and making it right and doing the deep dive and all of those things that help us and sustain us and grow us. And so you just open the door. And in fact, sometimes God just opens the door for you and you don't even have to try. So I want you to be in that place today of just imagining that bullseye and developing a very, very pristinely loving, I say pristinely loving, no fear embedded in it at all, goal that you then focus your thoughts on. And so as you go through your day, just continue to allow that to be your prayer. Allow that to be your prayer. And in fact, write it down. And a couple of times throughout the day, say it out loud. So as you ask, it shall be answered. As you seek, you certainly will find. And as you knock at the one door, gently knock and ask God to let you in, and that will happen too. So this is our morning devotion for the Village of Peace. Peace be with you and in you and around you all of this day.